this one in memoriam means in memory of this guy. He didn't give his name, he just gave his initials. And this is the year that, oops, sorry, I messed that up. This is the year that he died. I'm just so used to writing 19.
Whoa.
Okay, so he died in 1833. The 27 is, this is the 27th section of this poem. It's a very long poem, and this is the 27th section of it, okay? So, it's interesting to know just a little bit of background info that this man was engaged to marry the author's sister. Alfred Lord Tennyson's sister was going to marry that man, but he passed away before they could get married. So, so part of this is written because Tennyson is actually mourning the loss of this man because he was close to him. He was going to be his brother-in-law. And then part of it, I think, personally, that he was probably writing it to try to console his sister who lost her fiance. So there are a lot of words in this poem that we don't use anymore. So I'm going to start by just defining those. So first of all, the linnet is a bird. And unfettered would be like not tied to something. And plighted trough means like pledged or promised loyalty. And stagnates is not moving. And the sloth, y'all know the sloth is like the slowest animal, like lazy animal.
Zootopia.
Right, the DMV workers in Zootopia. Okay, and then whate'er befall means whatever happens. Okay, so whatever befall means whatever happens. And did I leave anything out? I think that's it. Okay, so basically each stanza is a metaphor or a picture of something that he's trying to get across, at least the first three. And then the fourth and final stanza is essentially the point that he's trying to make. So in the first stanza, he says, I envy not in any mood, so no matter what mood I'm in, I don't envy. The captive void of noble rage, the linnet born within the cage that never knew the summer woods. Okay, so there's two images here. There's this one, and then there's this one. Okay, someone who's trapped, a captive, void meaning they don't have any rage. So what do these two have in common?
They don't like,
Never mind. Okay, Wesley?
They're both like held somewhere and given one thing.
Right. Okay. The first one, we don't really know why the first one's not angry. The second one doesn't know any better, right? A bird that's born in a cage. And he says that never knew the summer woods. It's that whole ignorance is bliss kind of thing. The bird is fine and happy because they don't know any better. They don't know that they could be free. So he's saying, I don't envy that. I would rather know what's out there or know what could be than not know what could be and just be satisfied where I am because I don't know any better. that make sense? Okay. And then the second stanza, I envy not the beast that takes his license in the field of time, unfettered by the sense of crime, to whom a conscience never wakes. So essentially, he doesn't envy wild animals that kill without knowing what they're doing, that take a life without any remorse. So he's saying, again, I want to know, I want to feel, I want to have remorse for the wrong things that I do. I don't want to just live a life where I do whatever I want and I don't have to worry, I'm not aware of the consequences, or I'm not aware of any kind of I don't have any kind of conscience. And then in the third one, he says, nor what may count itself as blessed, the heart that never plighted troth. So the heart that never pledged loyalty to anything. In other words, someone who is just basically living for themselves, doesn't have any higher purpose or anyone else that they are loyal to or anything that they're loyal to, but stagnates in the weeds of sloth, just doesn't do anything, nor any want begotten rest. And then in the very last stanza, he brings all of this together and says, I hold it true, whatever befall, whatever happens. And he says, and I feel it when I sorrow most. So no matter what happens, this is what I believe. And even when I'm the saddest, I still believe this is true. 'Tis better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all. So he's saying, probably for himself, but also for his sister, it's better that you experienced love, even though you lost that love. At least you had that experience. And so he's, saying it's not worth. So it's quite the opposite of how George Gray lived his life, right? Because George Gray was afraid of being hurt, afraid of loving and then losing that love or being disappointed by that love, so he just didn't love. But Tennyson is saying it's better to have loved and lost that love than to have never experienced that love at all. So, thematic ideas. Okay, what are some thematic ideas in this poem? Ananya.
Remembrance.
What?
Remembrance.
Remembrance.
Loss.
Loss. Okay, so I would say, maybe, I'll just write down trapped, but if you were going to turn that into a thematic statement, you would want to think of another way to say it. It's like,
Not trapped.
right, but I can't think of it right now. Okay, what else?
Oh, with hell.
What?
With hell.
Withheld.
I think that's the word you were thinking of.
Well, that's a verb. Yeah. Memories. Or I would say memory as the kind of broad concept of memory, which would tie really well with the giver.
Love.
Love, for sure. I don't know if y'all are familiar with this word or not. Complacency. Complacency is a little bit different from contentment. To be content is to be satisfied satisfied with what you have, and it holds a positive connotation, like, I'm not gonna be greedy, I'm gonna be content and happy with what I have. But complacency holds a negative connotation, and complacency is more of an element of, I'm not gonna try to change or improve or get anything else. I'm satisfied with where I am, and I'm not gonna make any effort to change that. And then, what about, like, think about the bird that doesn't know he's in a cage, like, doesn't know, yes, ignorance. Okay, I'm sure there are many more, but again, you can see how many of these thematic ideas overlap with the giver. So you could easily talk about how Tennyson portrays a theme and how Lowry portrays a similar theme. Or you could talk about how you could even choose two different thematic ideas that were kind of tied together and talk about how one is more apparent in the poem and the other is more apparent in the book or something like that. Okay? Does that make sense?